Hey guys, this is Fuberduge, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Perfect Edition MP-22 Cybertron City Commander Ultra Magnus. I got this guy from Big Bad Toy Store, and I'm really excited to open him and review him. So let's get right down to it. So as you can see on the front of the box, you got nice art. You got him in his robot mode right here, and his car carrier mode right there. You got the Masterpiece logo, you got some Japanese, and you got the Takara Tomy logo. So that's it for the front. On the side, you've got the Masterpiece logo right there. On the top, you have a nice little photo right there of Ultra Magnus, kind of posing with his gun. I think that's really cool. And the logos again. And then you got the logo again on the side. On the bottom, nothing really exciting, just an overview of the accessories he comes with. And as for the back, you got an actual size photo. You got the obligatory photo. You got his gun. He can hold the Matrix. Him with Optimus Prime. He can hold Cars and Spike and Daniel, the two little figures that he comes with. So that is it for the box. So without further ado, let us review him out of the box. Alright, so here's Ultra Magnus in his cab mode and car carrier mode, ready to go and ready to be reviewed. So right off the bat, I'm just going to go off some of the booklet and stuff he comes with. He comes with a instruction booklet, which actually looks a lot different than the usual Masterpiece booklet. I think that this new design is actually pretty cool. People did complain that this was off the original design, but honestly, it doesn't bother me very much because I didn't really care about these anyway. So you just got instructions and a bio in Japanese and more instructions. And even more instructions and some cartoon pictures right here. You probably didn't see that, sorry. And on the back, I think this is really cool. You got all the different incarnations of Ultra Magnus, like, of all time. So here you got the G1 version and another G1 version. I don't know what that is. That is the Diaclone version, I think. And I don't know what that is. That's the first Masterpiece one. That looks something like... this looks something like the Classics Magnus or something like that. You got the Beast Hunters and Transformers Prime stuff. And you got more Masterpiece figures down here, so that's pretty cool. And he does come with the card with that same artwork. I think that's pretty cool. And then on the back, you got his tech specs and another bio. So, that is enough of that. And here we have Magnus ready to go. And he just captures the look that Ultra Magnus has. And both in the cartoon and his G1 toy. So I really do like the way that this car carrier mode looks. You can see the blue color is just really cool. I don't know how well it's coming off on camera, but it just looks really good. It's got like shiny metallic hints in there, and it's kind of a dull matte color. I really, really like the way that this guy looks. Already you can see that it's pretty big. So we're just going to get on to what you can do with him in his car carrier mode. So... number one, he's got these missile launchers, which they do not shoot or anything, but you can rotate them if you really want to. It's kind of pointless, but whatever. You can pose them like this, which is cartoon accurate, or you can, if you rotate them up, rotate it and fold it back and tab it into place, and doing that over here as well. You can recreate the toy accurate look, which I think is really cool that you have the option to do one or the other. Personally, I like the cartoon look better, so I'm just going to leave mine like this. Some people like leaving it like this, but I don't really like to. And it is personal preference, so if you have this guy, you can do whatever you want with him. So in his cab mode, you can see that it goes really after that Masterpiece MP-10 look. It just looks very nice, very, very good. I really do like the way that this whole thing looks. It does roll very nicely. It's got rubber tires, which is really cool. I love rubber tires. I mean, look at how well this thing rolls. And it's heavy. This thing is hefty. I mean, it's got some die cast in it. It is just a monster. So, the reason why this thing is called a car carrier is because it does carry cars. In order to do that, I'm just going to kind of rotate him around, trying to get him situated. You can see he's got two flaps back here that if you fold them down, they kind of create a ramp, and I apologize if you can't really see this, but they kind of create a ramp right here, which I think is really cool. And what you can do is, if you untab this from the arms, you can fold these down, and what I like to do is bend them at the elbow once, so they're not really flush against the bottom, as you can see, because if you have it just straight, it's got a big gap right here, and that would totally destroy the front end of your car. So you have to kind of do that to make it a little bit more believable. So I apologize if this is hard to see, but this guy's just really large. So I have my Masterpiece cars here. First we'll take Wheeljack. You can roll him on up, and he can park up here like so. Next we have Masterpiece Sideswipe. You can do the same thing. put this thing up, bend the arms back, and I just took a piece off. Tab these tabs back in, and he holds 2 cars on the top, and then you can take, first of all, get this guy, because he does kind of fit with this. He does kind of, at least car-wise. You roll him on up, and his spoiler gets in the way, so I'm just going to turn that to the side. Put him all the way forward, and that last but not least, we have Masterpiece Prowl. And you can fit 4 of this type of scale. You can fit 4 of those, the Masterpiece style cars. And you could probably fit more Classics cars, but I just think this is really cool. It's kind of a interesting thing, because whenever I see these things on like the highway or whatever, they're like carrying broken down cars and stuff. But this is like a military deploying car system. I think it's really cool. So, taking these guys off real quick, I just think this is a really neat feature. And even the G1 Magnus had that. And I think I showed that off in my Generation 1 Ultra Magnus review. But I believe that's about it. Oh, he does rotate right here, which is really cool. And another cool thing is if you flip this thing over, you got a little spring-loaded thing right here. If you push this down, you can disconnect the cab mode. I'm just going to set this thing back up and kind of leave it off to the side. You can use this as a separate cab, and bringing in the Masterpiece MP-10 Optimus Prime. It looks extremely similar, like down to the last detail. You can see it's got the same molding almost, except for this. Obviously, there are multiple different molded parts. This is one molded piece. I think it's really cool. Even the mirrors can work, they can move. And these ones are a lot more tight than my MP-10 ones. So, the cab mode is almost exactly identical until you get to the back. And that's where you can see things start to change. This obviously had to be bigger because his legs could not be this small, because that would just look extremely awkward. With this, it looks a bit more realistic, I think. But the back has a lot of tabs, and you can see his face poking out under there. But I do think that that's really cool that you can do that. So, setting off MP-10, I'm just going to put the cab mode right there. 2 things he also comes with is a Spike and a Daniel figure, a mini sort of thing. And the original MP-10 did come with a little Spike figure. In fact, I'll grab that here real quick. So here is that, and I'm just going to compare them real quick. I'm going to try to do this as best as possible. As you can see, he's taller than Daniel, but not taller than adult Spike. So I think that's a pretty good scale, at least for human-wise, because he's supposed to be a teenager, he's supposed to be a preteen, and Spike here, this Spike is supposed to be an adult. I got a mosquito back there, what the heck? Oh, whatever. So there's that. These guys, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's good that they included him in this set, because I don't know, Magnus was introduced into the movie, and so were these versions of these characters, and Daniel was first, at least the version of Spike. But anyway, I like the way Spike looks, minus like his face isn't really painted that much, but you get that with all these. But setting off Spike, one thing that I have a problem with Daniel is that his hips are overly huge. I just think that's really awkward and looks really strange. So I don't know, he's got like pregnant hips. It just looks so awkward. So I mean, I don't know if you can see this, but his hips are bigger than Spike's, and that's scary to me. I just think that's really messed up. So, Takara, get your act together, get the human proportions together, and we'll all be happy. So, going back to the cab mode, one thing you can do is I'm just going to untab the top piece of the cab mode off. You can fold this out, and if you look in here, I don't know how well you can see this, but there is seats in here that you can take Spike and Daniel, and taking him here, you can just bend him at the thigh and at the knees. And he's going to be in the passenger seat because Daniel cannot drive, because I'm guessing he's somewhere around 11 years old, from what I know. Oh, yeah, you have to move his hands up. I don't know where you can see this, but there are, and this piece is coming off, there are little tabs right here that fit right in between the crotch. This would be very uncomfortable in real life, but luckily none of these figurines are alive, and I'm having a tough time getting this in there. There we go. So, pegging this on, he stays very securely, he doesn't fall off or anything, so I think that's pretty cool. I wish the Masterpiece 10 MP-10 Optimus Prime had that, but it's not that big of a deal. This isn't like a big letdown for me. I didn't really care about this part of the set. So, as you can see, they can sit in there, and closing this whole thing back up. They are in there. I don't know how well that's coming off on camera, but let's see if I can get up close here. They are in there. There's Spike, there's Daniel. So that's pretty cool. I really do like the way that looks. So I'm just going to leave them in there for the remainder of the review. So, to attach this back, what you want to do is just put this piece forward, put it on And boom, you got them back in Ultra Magnus in his full car carrier mode. So I believe that's it, actually. Now we can get down to size comparisons. So I'm going to try to fit this on camera, and I might have to move my camera back a bit. So I'm doing that right now. So for the first size comparison, what we're going to do is bringing in Optimus Prime. Here he is with the MP-10. I'm going to try to do this as best as I can. They are almost exactly the same length, the trailers. As you can see, Prime just sticks out just a hair more. Actually, I think the base, only about like half an inch maybe. So I think that's really cool that their trailers are really close, but their cabs are like exact, as you can see. Unfortunately, you can't swap trailers, which is kind of a bummer, but I can see why they couldn't do that. So, putting that down, taking off Masterpiece Prime. Here he is with Wheeljack. I'm just going to use Wheeljack just because I want to bring out all the other guys. I believe that's proper scale. That looks pretty good to me. I know that the new scale for these guys is really accurate, from what I know at least. So taking off him, here he is with G1 Ironhide. So that's obviously not a very good scale, just because they're two totally different lines. But just to get an idea of how big this guy is, there's G1. Or did I say Ironhide? I mean Ratchet, sorry. And finally, here he is with G1 Ultra Magnus. Ain't that just cute? Yeah, actually, they actually look very similar, like, even down to the last detail. I mean, this hinge was always here, but it really had no point, whereas here it does have a point. This thing was all red. As you can see, the paint apps are kind of different, but it is very close. I mean, you even got some molded detail right here that kind of mimics this piece. I mean, it kind of looks like it's in reverse. I just moved this, but that's pretty cool that they were able to do that. I just think that's really neat. So, bringing off the old grandpa here. That is really cool to see how far Transformers has come. I'm just looking at the engineering of the original Ultra Magnus toy to the Masterpiece Ultra Magnus. So, now I believe that we're done with that. We can get down to transformation. Now, I will warn you, this transformation might not be all in camera. I mean, I'll try to get it to be in camera, but it will be kind of a task for me to do. And please, I'm asking you to bear with me and not to get frustrated, because this guy's huge and it's hard to fit this all on camera. So, again, please bear with me. So, what I like to do first, so turning this guy all the way around, I'm just going to untab the arms. I find that this is the easiest way to do it. Oh yeah, you want to move these out of the way too. So, just separating the arms here, and then you can take the gun off. They're just pegged into a hole here and a tab hole right there. So I'm just going to set this off to the side for now. His arms are just going to kind of be floppy for a while, so you can just rotate them down like this, just like the original toy. So, bringing this whole thing up, what I'm going to do now is untab these pieces right here and fold them, just kind of leave them off to the side. He does have a lot of panels, so just, again, the arms are going to kind of get in the way sometimes, but I'm going to have to try to flip this whole thing around. What you want to do is, like, as you can see, there's kind of a curve of, like, this is molded to be like a curvy kind of a shape. You can rotate this down, fold it down, actually, and it untabs, and you just fold it, and you can just kind of just leave it like that. You can't really do much with that right now, so fold it just like that, and then you can fold up this piece. Doesn't really tab into anything, but it's on a ratchet. So you have that. Now rotating this around, now you can fold this down, and you push it down, and it tabs the whole thing into place. You got a tab here, and I think there's one down here. So, again, to see that, you got a tab right here, and you got a hole up in here, and this just pegs into place and holds everything and locks everything securely. And I apologize if you didn't see that. And with the wheels here, you pull them down, this whole thing, rotate them, and you got kind of faux wheels here. I think that's really cool. I just bumped my camera with Magnus. So, folding these down and folding these across. What it does is it kind of gives his feet a flat line look. I don't know whether that comes off, but yeah, it's kind of flat and it makes him stand better. Whereas the wheels kind of hinder that. So spreading his legs apart, and he does have ankle pivots, so I'm just going to put his feet down. And his feet are die cast, which is awesome. I love it when they include die cast in these figures. So, as you can see, he's starting to take shape. So I'm going to have to raise my camera here a bit, just so you can see what I'm doing. And I'll adjust it. This thing is kind of flippity-floppity. To fix that, I'm going to rotate this. And what you want to do then is you can see there are tabs in here. I don't know how you can see that actually, but there are tabs here and there are slots right there. You fold these in and you tab them into place, and that locks this thing. It doesn't turn anymore. So that is really cool how they designed that, so it doesn't rotate anymore and it just kind of hides the wheels. So now we're going to try to work on the cab, because that's the best thing to do next. What you want to do is just kind of... Oh, I did something wrong. I'm going to have to raise my camera. Sorry about this. Alright. So, you see the cab mode. Lift up this tab and disconnect everything, and this just kind of becomes a flippity-floppity mess, and a piece already fell out. So, try to get that out of there. I'll deal with that later. So, you rotate this piece down, and then, with this, you fold the smokestacks, and you rotate them down like so. So they kind of hide, and just kind of, they don't really lock into place, they just kind of sit there. And leaving that there. Coming around to here, you got this whole thing, and I think this thing is just kind of a floppy mess. So you want to pull these flaps out, like the sides of the cab, and fold this piece up, and that locks into place. This piece is on an accordion joint, so you rotate this up, and you can leave Spike and Daniel in there if you want. So you can do that. Fold this piece down, and there is a tab right here, and you can't see that. Tab right here, it tabs into a hole in the middle of the cab down here, and that locks everything into place, and they're falling out, so I might as well just take them out. So this butt flap, you can just kind of leave it however you want. There is a peg hole in the tire, and then you might be able to see here, but there's a peg right there. If you rotate this around, it pegs and kind of hides that. So I just think that's pretty cool. So pushing it in and tabbing everything in place, just kind of leave this butt flap again. Now we come to an interesting part. We come to this, and this is kind of a cause of argument for a lot of people. It's really tabbed in here very securely, and when you try to take it out, it causes stress marks. And I already have mine. The first time I did it, I noticed it, and I saw the stress marks. So I'm going to try to do this as best as possible. But what you're trying to do here, ultimately, and I can feel it stressing right now, and I'm very, very scared to do this. There we go. I can feel it, and I don't know how well this is coming off, but this piece. There are stress marks right here. And over time, I can totally see this thing breaking. So that's the one design flaw. If they would have made this a bit more easier to take off, I just feel like that it would have been a lot easier. I'm half tempted never to transform this like this again and just leave it like this forever, because you can do that in the cab mode. So it's just very risky. Be very cautious when you're doing it. It's very risky, and I would hate for anyone's Ultra Magnus, especially Masterpiece Ultra Magnus, to break. So please be very careful. But anyway, there is a tab right here, and there's a slot right here. There's a tab right here that just pegs into place like that. And this piece, which is being a pain in the butt, is on another accordion joint. You push it down like that, and that tabs into place. Slide the head forward, and I believe we're done with the torso. So now we can work on the arms, and we're almost done. Almost done, people. Don't have to deal with complicated transformations much longer. So setting him back there. With the arms, just folding these out of the way, you got a hinge joint, a double hinge. You can fold this forward like that and rotate this all the way up like so. You want to hold it like that. And same here, I'm just going to rotate it up on a double hinge, and then it just kind of tabs into place. So then this kind of gets a bit complicated. On this part, it rotates down, and you keep pushing it until you hear it click. So... And one very crucial thing I forgot, actually, is on this piece, you take this and you fold it in like that. I don't know how you saw that, but you take this, it's a little tiny panel, you fold it in. You have to do that, otherwise this won't work. So folding this down, and there we go, it just tabs into place. You just push it in and tab it into place. You can fold these top caps up, and they tab and lock everything into place up here in the arms. And then with these, you can rotate this up, that tabs into place, and fold these down like so. Same thing over here. Just tab that into place, fold this piece down. And the last finishing touch, and he's looking up for some weird reason. I'm going to bend his elbow. You take this, they split, and they come up, and they collapse on themselves and tab together. And I think that's really cool engineering right there. So, tabbing together, I believe that's it. Oh, and one thing I did forget to mention is that there are clips right here, and there are holes right here, and they just tap into place. Just like this. If I can get it, there we go. Tapping into place, and that is it for the transformation. Whew, that was a pain. So, getting him oriented and situated here. There you have the Takara MP-22 Perfect Edition City Commander Masterpiece Ultra Magnus in his fully transformed robot mode. And one thing I'm already going to say is that they just totally knocked this thing out of the park. You can see clearly that this is a very, very accurate representation of the Generation 1 Ultra Magnus, both in his toy mode even, and the cartoon. More so the cartoon than the toy, but you can see the stuff that carries over from both. And I just really love this figure. He's definitely one of my more favorite Masterpiece figures. Not as good as the MP-10 still, in my opinion. That has not been beaten in my book. This guy comes close, but he just misses the mark. Just a few things that I have problems with. This guy is by no means perfect. No way is he perfect, but he is still very good. So you can see that he's got very good paint applications and just a very good look, a very good color. You can see the good blue. You got the red here, which I think is really, it's more of a pink actually, but it kind of looks more like a red on camera. In here you got painted details that covers this with kind of a blue color. You got white up here. Just overall really good. And his feet are die cast. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but they are, and they're really heavy, and I really like that. I couldn't find any die cast anywhere else, so those are big chunks of die cast, so I'm happy with that. It gives him some big weight. This guy is heavy. He is solid. He is a brick. He is not moving anywhere. So, for articulation, he doesn't really have a ball joint, but it is a swivel. You can look up and down. No wiggle-waggle movement. You can look pretty far up, kind of down, but not really far. His arms will do a full 360 rotation. And for this, he's kind of limited in articulation in this. You have to untab this like that to be able to click it. And it's on ratchets, but even so, it doesn't really go very far. That is the farthest he will go with his arm outward movement. He does go in, which is kind of strange, but whatever. You can rotate the missiles however you like, and these pieces do kind of like to come on tab, and that's another problem I have. He does bend at the elbow just under 90 degrees. He does rotate at the bicep. His fists are actually on a ball joint, which is really cool. And he does fold out his fingers. This is not a pointer finger. Like, the three fingers, like, these three fingers right here are connected, and this finger does not have any joints right here. It's just one solid finger that moves like this. So, that's kind of unfortunate. There are replacement hands out there, which I'm actually thinking about getting. So, no waist rotation, which is another thing people were complaining about. But he does have, and I just put this piece out, he does have a ratchet joint that comes forward, and it doesn't really come very far. I suppose you can kind of untab this thing to give him more movement, but it's kind of awkward looking, so just tabbing that back in, and this whole thing just came untabbed. His skirt pieces do move to accommodate, but again, they don't move very far, and these are not ratchets. I wish they were, because you can see it's not a very strong joint. He's just way too heavy for those, so I feel like they should have given him ratchets there. He does have full ankle pivot. And by the way, he does rotate at the thigh, I believe. That is a universal joint. So that's it for articulation. It's okay. It's not great, but it's not bad either. It is very limited, but I feel like they could have done better, but I'm just gonna live with it. So yeah, that is it for articulation. So he does come with a few accessories that you can use in robot mode. First off, we have his gun, which it was in this configuration. You just take the handle, you rotate it like so, and it clips into place. You take his hand, I just bought my camera. You take his hand, he's got the normal Masterpiece style hand where it's molded in, where you can just tab this into place, and it holds very securely, and he can shoot you, which is very cool. I like how this gun looks, and actually, I'm going to get the Masterpiece Ultra Magnus, or the G1 Ultra Magnus' gun in here. here it is, and obviously color-wise it's not the same, but molded-wise, and I'm going to take this thing off so you can see it better. Molded-wise, it looks very similar. I mean, you can see it's even got the handle up here that this thing had, that he could always hold that when he was in his, like, Optimus Prime mold form. But it's very close. I mean, there are only a few slight differences, but besides the color. But molding-wise, this is very close. So, taking off the G1 gun and this one, because I don't think we'll need this anymore. There is his gun anyway, and next he does come with a very interesting feature, I think. He comes with a different face and new hands, which... It's very interesting because you can recreate one of the most disturbing scenes in all of Transformers history. Back in the original 1986 movie, things were just crazy. Transformers were dying, Autobots were dying, Decepticons were dying, people were just getting killed brutally. And Ultra Magnus was no exception, except they brought him back because he was a new character and they couldn't kill off a new character whose toy was just released. So what they did was they had a scene where Galvatron and Cyclonus came and they cornered him and he yelled an explicative, which I will not utter here because I don't do that in reviews. But after that, Galvatron demanded that Ultra Magnus give him the Matrix, which just reminds me that you can fit the Masterpiece MP-10 Matrix in him, which I have it right here. Opening this thing, and you can also recreate that where the scene where Prime is dying, you can put this thing in here, opens up exactly how it did. So he closes this back up, and it does fit pretty well. And you might not be able to see that in there. But anyway, back to the story. Galvatron threatened to kill Magnus, and Magnus didn't. And so Galvatron blew him to bits. Or the Sweeps did, actually. The Sweeps did it. The Sweeps utterly pulverized Ultra Magnus. And what he did was he was trying to use the Matrix to light their darkest hour. So actually I'm going to take the Matrix back out. What this is meant to do is recreate the part where he yells that bad word that is very naughty and you should never say. So he comes with these hands that have kind of molded in gaps right there. So you can just unpeg his hands, which can be a bit of a task, but it is doable. You just untab the fists, like so, and they come off just like that, so he has stubs for hands. And taking these bits, or these molded bits on, you can just tab them in. Or peg them on, excuse me. And that one was a bit harder. Alright, sorry about that. My camera just died on me, so here we go. I just put his fists on like you saw earlier. So, the next thing that you're supposed to do is you're supposed to use this accessory, which can be stored back here. That's one thing I forgot to show off. You got two pegs right here. You could store both of his faces there at the same time if you wanted to. I don't know why you would, but you can just like that and close that back up. But we won't be doing that because that's just weird. So, coming to the head, you grab just his face, like his front, and you can just take it off, and holy crap, that thing scared me when I first saw it. This face is straight up creepy. That is... I mean, it wouldn't be as creepy if, like, half of the faceplate wasn't messed up, but, like, he's almost got a mouth right there. He's like, ah! That is just messed up, I think. They're trying to make it look like a Masterpiece MP-10, like the MP-10 head, except for his white, because I suppose they were trying to please fans who like the armor Ultra Magnus mode kind of more, like the ones who like it where the armor goes over the cab, but it just comes off as really creepy to me. So what you do is you take this here, you take this off, just the face, and I'll show you how it goes on. You got a whole tab right here, and this is kind of hard to see. I apologize. You got a tab right there, and you got a hole right here, and this fits on like so. And then you just put it back on his head. And as you can see, he's already screaming like, ah! So what you're supposed to do is, I'm going to have to try to untab these. You fold these up like so, you tab those up, and you move his fist like this, and this is going to be rather interesting. You can move his head up like that if you want. You can fit the Matrix, rotate his hands like this, because you can hold it better if you put his hands like this. You got the gaps right here, you fit the matrix in there. And bam. There you go. There he is, yelling that one word that we all know that I won't repeat. Why, Takara? Just why? I think it's okay that they did that. I mean, I think it's kind of cool. I mean, you can do that if you really want to, but it just gives me so many memories, bad memories from the movie, from words I learned at too early of an age. So it's an option. You can do it if you really want to. Personally, I won't. I might use this, maybe, if Ultra Magnus is, like, shooting stuff, but sorry. It's just too graphic and too messed up. That scene actually gave me nightmares as a kid, because I actually saw that movie when I was about, like, 4 years old. Even though I'm way too young to have lived in the 80s, but I did see that movie when I was 4 years old, and that scene scared me so bad. Same with Unicron. Unicron was really scary. But now, it's just awesome. So, I'm actually going to take that face off because it kind of bugs me. So, that is an option again. That face right there. Holy crap. So, putting this back on. There's Magnus. The calm and collected Magnus that we all love and know. So, that is an option. You can do that if you so wish. So I'm going to try to back up the camera here so I can fit him. He's just a big hunk of plastic and metal. So, now I think we're done with that. We can get to the size comparisons. So, putting Magnus right there. Now, this guy is actually really large. So, the first comparison we're going to do is a classics or a deluxe size figure, classics Ramjet specifically. And this is just so you can get an idea of how big he is. And as you can see, he is really large. So taking him off, here he is with his buddy Springer, who is a Voyager size figure. So that doesn't really scale. I mean, I suppose it could, but there's that. Here he is with Leader Class Jetfire, which is not in scale whatsoever. But this is just so you can get an idea. He's Leader Class. He's about as big as a normal average Masterpiece figure. Yeah. So now we'll bring in some Masterpiece Decepticons. First we have Skywarp. So that's pretty cool. And I committed a heinous crime in my last Skywarp review. I can't believe I did this, but I forgot to compare him with my G1 Skywarp. So, here he is. Aww. Skywarp always makes his way into everything, so. Yeah. I can't believe I forgot to do that. I'm a criminal. So, moving right along. Here he is with Masterpiece Soundwave. So, I don't know if Magnus is supposed to be this big, but he is, so. That's how that works. Here he is with X-Transbots Apollyon, because he's in my Masterpiece collection. So, there he is next to a Masterpiece-styled Megatron. That kind of works. Megatron is technically supposed to be able to manhandle Ultra Magnus, so, it's okay. And just about made him tip over. And he's not Masterpiece, but I'll do this just because. Here's with Combiner Wars Devastator. So, he's still a lot taller. So, taking off the Giant. Here he is with Masterpiece Wheeljack. And all those guys, like Prowl and Sideswipe, all those guys are the same size, so. They're about half his height, so there's that. And here he is with MP-10 Optimus Prime. So, it's a decent scale. It's not my personal favorite, but I suppose Ultra Magnus was always supposed to be a bit bigger than Optimus Prime, but this just seems a bit more bigger than I would like, but it works. It's not terrible. I still think that this figure, though, is perfect. Like, I can't find anything wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with this Masterpiece figure that I found. With him, obviously, you got the stress marks that I mentioned earlier, and the fact that these don't stay tabbed in, these blue pieces up here, they don't stay tabbed in very well, and you always have to constantly put them in. And another thing is the butt flap back here. This is a cause of concern for many, well, not concern, but a cause of debate for many, because when you have it like this, I mean, yeah, that looks okay from the front, but once you go to the side, it's got this weird thing hanging off. And then you got this, I just bumped my camera, it's like peering through the back. And it's just, I don't know, it doesn't bug me too much, but I just wish they could have done without it. Like, if they could fold this up and then have this a hinge right here that folded up, that would have been, like, great for me. Personally, I'm probably going to leave it like that. So, yeah. There are those two together. It's okay. It's not the great of a scale. It's not the greatest scale, but it works. So, taking off MP-10. Camera here. And finally, last, but certainly not least, we have G1 Magnus. Let me just look at the camera again. So, that looks pretty cool right there. Just having the two together. Actually, the size difference is actually not that much different. He's just about, oh, I'd say 3/4 his height, maybe even 4/5. But that looks really cool having them side to side. It's really I like both these figures. They're both great. And you can just see how closely they resemble each other. I mean, obviously you can see a few differences, like the chest piece is a lot thinner where this one is thicker. He's got stickers and he doesn't. His legs are red here and they're white there. But I just really like having both of these in my collection. Ultra Magnus has always been one of my favorite characters, and I love both of these figures very much. So, that is it for size comparisons. I believe that's also it for this review. So, this is the Masterpiece Perfect Edition MP-22 Ultra Magnus. And if you'd like one of your own, I'll put a link in the description down below where you can pick him up at Big Bad Toy Store, because that's where I got him. I know he's sold out right now, or at least as of now, at TF Source, but I will put a link there too if you want to go there. I'm sure that they'll have another run or something like that. The nice thing about TF Source is it's free shipping with orders that are above $150. This guy runs at about $189. I got this guy for about that on Big Bad Toy Store, plus shipping, of course. But this thing is, it's totally worth it. If you're a Masterpiece collector, you need this guy. It's just a given. He's awesome. Pick him up. By no means is he perfect. He is, they call this thing the perfect edition, but it's not perfect. But it is pretty close. I'm not like mind blown, but I'm very satisfied with this guy. I'm definitely more satisfied. I know that people were looking at that Citizen Stack KFC figure or whatever. I would say don't even look at that. Get this thing. It's worth every single penny. Just get it. It's awesome. So, that is all I have to say about this. So, I would like to thank you guys for watching this. If you like it, please like on the website. Please subscribe and please share if you feel led to do so. And also, please check out some of my other Transformers reviews that are on my channel, and also some of my stop motion videos that are there as well. And this is Fuberdude saying, keep playing, guys.